to Rise with Crossroads Clubhouse and Monroe Community Mental Health Authority. I'm your host today, Stephan Pietszak. I'm the Clubhouse Director. And we have with our other host, Desi. Her name's Desirae, but we call her Desi. And today we're going to talk about Desi's journey through mental health, how she came into the system, what brought her into mental health, what brought her to the Clubhouse. So Desi, let's just start. What was your childhood like?
My childhood had its ups and downs. I didn't really have a father figure. He was in and out. My mom was pretty much a single parent and took care of me and my little brother. Pretty much just didn't really have a childhood.
Oh, okay.
Had a rough time with school. I've been bullied. I've had started having depression when I got older. I kept everything inside. I had to be strong for my family, and I just couldn't really. It just kept bothering me the older I got.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Where did you go to? Are you always been a Monroe resident?
Yes.
So what school did you go to?
Ida Public Schools.
Ida. So when did you start, or did someone notice that you were starting to have symptoms of mental illness?
I'm not sure. I think my mother has, but I started speaking up for myself in front of my family doctor.
Okay. And
he told me about a psychiatrist they had on hand at their office, and I talked with her. She prescribed me some medication, and it started to help a little bit, but of course, after years, it just didn't work at all.
So at what age did you start with mental health?
With mental health, I had not really received services with CMH until I was about the age of probably in my early 20s.
Okay, but I was reading your bio the other day, and it said you started experiencing symptoms when you were 12? Yes,
about 12 years old, I started, that's when I started getting really having more symptoms.
Okay.
Of basically probably different parts of depression, anxiety, and probably I started having anger and frustrations.
Okay. So when you were 12, was that when the bullying started, or was it prior to that?
Prior to that.
Prior to that, the bullying started, and this is all in school?
Yes.
So in elementary school, you're being bullied?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay. And then after that, your symptoms increased?
Yes. I, especially when about later in middle school, I started having anger issues where I would slam my locker door. I would even hit my head against my locker door.
Okay.
And I get so angry, and I even try to reach out for help to the adults at the school, but they did nothing.
Did nothing. So you're living with your mom and your brother. Did they seek out any professional help for you?
No.
Were there any problems at home?
Just that my mom became sick when I was in 6th grade.
Okay.
6th or 7th grade, she became sick. I had to help take care of her, and of course, me and my brother fought a lot. And we were also living with my grandfather at the time. he wanted me and my brother to be going out to our dad's, which we found out he was out in about North Dakota.
Oh, okay.
So we stayed there for summer vacation. And I decided to come back because I didn't want to start over. And my brother stayed out there, and he had more of a problem issues than I did. But I pretty much still had my issues, but I had to stay strong again to help take care of my mom. And I still was dealing with bullying in high school until I dropped out in 2010 to get my GED.
Okay. So if I remember correctly, your mother had cancer,
Yes,
correct?
she did, and she passed away in February of 2011.
2011, and you dropped out of school in 2010.
Yes.
So once your mother passed away and you dropped out of school, what did you do?
I just got my GED, and then after she passed away, I also was in my first semester of college during that time.
So who did you live with?
I was living with her. We were living together. This was after my grandfather passed away.
Okay.
And when my mom passed away, my uncle moved up from Ohio to take care of me. And at the time, my brother decided to come back.
Okay.
And he spent some time, a short time with me and my mom, our mom, and before she passed away. And this was unexpected. So we didn't know how things were going to happen.
Okay. So once your mother passed away, did your brother stay in Monroe, or did he go back to North Dakota?
He went back to North Dakota. Of course, he was having his issues with grieving, but he had friends, and I believe our dad was still out there, so he was out there for a little while.
Okay. So I know when you lose a loved one, the grieving process is different for everybody. Did that increase your symptoms at all?
No.
No. So, okay.
It kind of made things worse because after my mom passed away, I started pulling my hair out, which is trichotillomania.
Okay.
Usually I was told it's seen in children that or younger, like toddlers that would do that. But for me, I started pulling it like not exactly right after my mom passed, but shortly after. And of course, my symptoms were getting worse. I still wasn't seeking help. At that time, I wasn't on any medication.
Okay.
Because my all my appointments I never had when my mom passed away.
So if you realized that your symptoms were getting worse, why didn't you seek out help?
I didn't realize that there was help out there. I just didn't think about if there was any services that could help me at the time.
Okay. So I also recall that, so you lived with your uncle for a while, and then you became homeless?
Yes.
How did that happen?
At times, me and my uncle would have our arguments, and he was trying to relocate to be closer to his job, and he was looking for a place for us to move, but he was invited with a coworker where he can have a roommate, and I couldn't find a place to live because I had no income or any friends that would have me stay with them, and I couldn't I didn't think about looking for a job at the time. I did do a paid work experience at one point, but it didn't lead to me being hired.
Right.
And so I became homeless, and I sought help from a friend of mine that was from a church that I went to. She was the director at this place called Fairview,
Okay.
and which is a transitional shelter for disabled men and women that become homeless.
So at this time, how old were you?
I was in I think I was 21 or 22 at the time.
Okay. So from the age of 12 to 21, I mean, you had a lot of loss in your life. I mean, you lost your mother, you lost your grandfather, then you lost your uncle, okay? And even with that, you lost your brother. And then you found yourself homeless. So you go to Fairview. How long did you stay at Fairview?
I was at Fairview. I was there on 2 separate times. I was at Fairview from 2014 to 2015. Then that was when I moved back in with my uncle.
Okay.
And in 2015, I got hired in at Walmart. So I worked there for about a year as a cashier. And I was, again, services with creative counseling choices, I believe they were called.
Okay.
They had psychiatrists there that I was seeing and a therapist. And just I was trying my best to get help. And of course, halfway through my time of being a cashier at Walmart, I started feeling like anxiety was getting to me. And that led to my attendance being really poor, to me losing my job in November after Thanksgiving. They let me go.
Okay.
And that was around the time that I stopped taking my meds and stopped seeing the psychiatrist because he wasn't listening to me when I told him that I was having anxiety. And so when I did that, it got really bad. And I really pulled my hair out to the point I was bald.
Oh, okay. So when you was talking to the psychiatrist and he wasn't listening to you, how disheartening was that for you?
That was really, it made me really angered, and it just told me like there's no one out there that would listen.
So is that the reason you quit taking your meds as well, because the dispute with your psychiatrist?
I believe so at the time, because I just think that if no one's there to help me, then why would I take these meds? Why would they help me?
Right. So I can imagine you were feeling at the point where you were lost, you were confused, you were hurt, and nobody was hearing you. And and that's like being alone. I mean, and so your anxiety increased, your depression increased. So what made you seek out more help?
In December, I was still living with my uncle in December of 2016, and of course I was bald at the time, pulling my hair out still because I still had some hair. And my uncle was really concerned, and he asked me to you should go seek help. He told me about CMH, because also his girlfriend at the time was also wanting me to seek help.
Okay.
And I thought about CMH because I remembered back in my childhood, my brother did have services with CMH.
Okay.
Because of him being in trouble, like he was a troubled child.
Okay.
I totally forgot at the time that there was that. And so I went to CMH on 2 separate occasions trying to get help.
Okay. So it took you 2 separate occasions. Why 2 separate occasions?
Because I believe the process to get into CMH for services, it based on how you, it's like to me it felt like an interview.
Right. So when they were doing the intake assessment with you?
Yes.
Okay.
And it just based on what you say, and they would think if you're qualified enough to get services with them, and if not, they will direct you somewhere else where you need services.
Right. So if you're like mild to moderate with mental illness, then they refer you out to somewhere else. So if you're severe, that's mostly what mental health works with, it's moderate to severe mental illness. So in your intake assessment, were you withholding information or trying to, excuse me if I'm wrong, trying to appear better than you actually were?
No, I was trying to tell them everything about me,
Okay.
and telling them on the first try, like I showed them what I looked like with my hair because I wore a hat at the time. I told them like I really need services for the first time, and then I think they sent me a letter, or they told me I didn't need services.
Okay.
And then I waited for about a week later. I went back and like I needed services really.
Right. So after a week you went back. Oh, so what was different on the second time you went?
I told them that I started feeling suicidal because I was just at the point of if I didn't get services, I don't know what I was going to do because I just couldn't hold on anymore.
Right. And I'm so sorry for that experience you had not being admitted or to mental health on your first try. But also, I want to tell you how courageous you are for fighting for yourself and going back and getting services. Takes a lot of effort, and especially when you're feeling depressed, lonely, and suicidal. So I'm proud of you for fighting through that and going back and getting services. So once you got services, so what year was it when you got services?
I think when I finally was approved after my second try in December 2016, I believe I actually started my services in January 2017.
Okay.
And later that month, my case manager at the time offered me to go to DBT.
Okay. So DBT, if you don't know, is dialectical behavior therapy. So was you in a group therapy too and individual?
No, it was more of a group.
So you was in the group? Okay. So you didn't get the personal case management therapy?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, because with DBT, you have group sessions, and then your therapist does one-on-one with you. So did you have that?
No.
Okay, so you just had the skills.
Yes.
Skills group, okay.
Skills group.
So you had skills group with DBT. Okay, so, and that was 2017?
Yes, in 2017 I had that.
Okay, and you were still residing at Fairview?
At the time, yes.
Okay, so when did you leave?
Actually, wait, no. I was still living with my uncle up until spring of 2017 when my uncle got injured.
Okay.
and then I became homeless again, and I went back to Fairview.
Okay. So wow, I mean, this story, so many setbacks, many
Yes.
setbacks, and still you persevere and keep pushing through.
Yes.
I mean, that's a lot for one person by yourself. So you went back to Fairview. How long did you stay at Fairview?
Second time around, I was at Fairview from about April 2017 to the 1st of November of 2018.
Okay. And how did you get out of Fairview? What did you do? What was the process like?
When I went back to Fairview, for a little while I was there. I went through a few case managers, of course, with CMH, and one of them recommended me to go to Crossroads Clubhouse.
Okay.
And I started going there in May of 2017. And then I was still at Fairview, and then we started the process of going to get me on the waiting list of Section 8 with MCOP.
Okay. So tell our viewers, what is Crossroads and what did Crossroads do for you?
Crossroads Clubhouse is one of the programs that CMH has for those that need socialization, skills that help them with either at home or out in the community, hopefully to lead to employment. It also helps me to not be isolating myself, because that's what I normally did at Fairview. I either stayed in my room or I would go to the library next door, and that's all I ever did. Unless I had money, I would hop on the bus and go shopping.
Okay. So if you isolated so much, it had to be like culture shock when you went to Crossroads, because they're very vocal and they socialize a lot. So how did you take that?
I was a little intimidated at first.
Okay.
I know it took me a little while to warm up. I was just sitting there watching my first few days when I was there and see how things rolled, and just see how things went. And when I felt comfortable, I signed up for a few tasks on the work or a day board, such as cleaning, working in the kitchen, if there was anything else that I could do that seemed simple enough.
Okay. So 2018, you started Crossroads. You've been at Crossroads since?
Yes.
Okay. And so what has changed for you since 2018?
Since 2018, I've been at my own place. I live in an apartment for 4 years now. At Crossroads, I've been at a couple trainings. I've been to a few Michigan Clubhouse conferences, like 2 of them, I believe, so far.
Okay.
And I made a lot of friends. I traveled to a couple clubhouses in the state. I've done, mostly I work with computers, working on the website that we're working on, and also doing social media.
Okay. So Desi's story is very inspiring because for all the setbacks she had, she still persevered, kept pushing forward. In 2018, or 2017, she was homeless. Went to Fairview. 2018, she left Fairview, got her own apartment. Now, another milestone for you is you're working on becoming your own payee.
Yes.
So what's that all about?
When I was at Fairview, I was asked if I needed a guardian, and I said yes. And I did some testing and got a guardian, and she seemed really nice, the one I was assigned to. And I still have her up until today, and we're working on a program called To Become Independent, where I don't need her anymore. So I'm right now paying my own bills. I'm working on filling out my own lease and other paperwork with the DHS, Social Security, and some other places such as Section 8 as well, filling out paperwork.
And I know you're being a little modest, but so Desi also aspired to go back to school, to college. So she had a debt that she incurred when she went to the community college, and then she dropped out. So you've paid that debt off now, correct?
Yes, I did, and I'm working on trying to get back to college currently. In June, I'll start doing a math boot camp.
Okay.
I believe it's free. I'll have to look it up. It's through Lifelong Learning. It's just going back through the basics of math and gets me ready to take the basic math course at the college.
Okay. So I'd be amiss if I didn't ask you. So we all know we were in lockdown. We had COVID. And so when that happened, Crossroads was closed. So did you suffer any? Did your symptoms increase or anything while Crossroads was closed?
When Crossroads was closed during COVID, I kind of felt isolated a little bit. I was happy enough that Crossroads, the staff there was able to reach out to me either once or twice a week. And I was able to update them how I was doing. I told them that I would go shopping when I could, and just being safe, try to stay busy at home so that try to keep my mind busy and not losing myself.
Right. So it's great. You know, Crossroads reached out to you, kept you engaged, and then we moved to a new building.
Yes.
So we're now in the Benesh building with Impact Studios. And so everything changed from the old Crossroads Clubhouse to now. So for those that are not aware, the new Cakes by Stephanie's, that used to be the old Clubhouse. So now we're in the Benesh building. So how do you like it at the new Crossroads?
The new Crossroads I like a lot because to me it seems it's a bit bigger than the old Clubhouse. We have more space and we could separate the units that we have, which is co-op and culinary units. And pretty much I think being in a historical building, which I love history, and in Moreau it's full of history.
Yeah, certainly is. So amazing thing about Desi is I just can't give her enough kudos for what she's done, from all the setbacks she's had to how she's progressed. So Desi is actually creating a website for Crossroads so we can have our own website separate from Monroe Community Mental Health. So we have we get audited like every 3 years because we're an internationally accredited agency. So they come and they stay for like 3 days and they work side by side with the members and the staff, and then they do an evaluation. So we had this, was it November?
Yes, in November we had our accreditation.
So for 3 days. So then they give a report, and then during that report, they tell us all the standards that we're following. So we have international standards. This is about what, 49, 50 standards?
37.
37? There's more than that.
37 standards.
Seems like 59 to me. So we have to maintain each standard. So It's difficult. It's a difficult process. And so I like to tell everybody is that the Crossroads Clubhouse is for the members. So we like the members to take ownership. And Desi's done a wonderful job. She's created the website. She does our social media. She runs meetings. Going back to school, I'm just so proud of you. I wanna congratulate you for the progress you've made. And it's just so inspiring through all the setbacks, how you persevered and kept pushing forward. So that is an amazing story. So another thing we want to do with this show, Rise, is highlight other members of the clubhouse or even people in the community that have inspiring stories. Like I always tell people, everybody has a story. And it only takes a little bit to listen and understand. And that's how you get to know people. So me and Desi we had a sit down, and then she told me her entire story. And then I nominated her to go to this conference in Kalamazoo last year to tell her an inspiring story. Now Desi may not seem like, but she's very shy. So we went to Kalamazoo. We was in this banquet room, like hundreds of people, and Desi was on the stage, and she had to tell her story. She was nervous. She did well, and I was so proud of her for doing that. And that's the kind of things that we like to do at Crossroads Clubhouse. We're not very much publicized, but all of our members love it.
Yes.
What would you do without Crossroads?
Without Crossroads, I probably would still be at home, probably isolating myself, not really socializing much, besides talking to my family. And and my guardian probably, and she would probably try to help me find something to do.
Great. So that is our show for today. Please see us on Impact. I'd like to thank Impact for this platform they're giving us, Monroe County Mental Health for allowing us the opportunity to have a show. This is a member-run show. So I'll be a special host every now and then, but Desi's gonna be the host. So be nice to her. And with that, I just wanna tell you, be good to yourself. Bye-bye.